Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead, where we are going to answer the question today, are kidney beans toxic? I was going to do a video similar to this a couple of years ago when I first learned about the toxicity possibilities of kidney beans. And then because of my job and other projects that we were working on, it just fell by the wayside. We had recently a video where I mentioned about doing fast beans, a little bit about how to do them, and I said they need to be cooked slowly on the top. They need to be cooked slowly. I even think I said they need to be slow cooked. I do need to clarify that today, and I'll do so in this video. So what about kidney beans? Now, kidney beans are the traditional red and pink kind. They also are cannellini beans. Cannellinis are considered kidney beans. And so today, what we are going to do is talk about the science behind the toxicity so that you understand. One of the goals of our channel is to educate people on the science behind the things that we are told to do so that we have a better understanding, so that it makes sense for us, and then we can judge for ourselves once we have the full body of knowledge surrounding why we do or why we are asked to do certain things regarding food. And this is certainly the case with kidney beans. So what is it with kidney beans? Well, here's the science. Lectins are, a lectin is a protein that is found in all plants. All plants have lectins. And normally they don't cause us any problem whatsoever. They are part of a process within the plant that protects the plant from predators. And so it will do things. Those lectins are also called hemagglutinin. Hemagglutinin. So that's our science word for the day, hemagglutinin, lectins. They bond to carbohydrates. In the case of kidney beans, they also bond with red blood cells, and that's where the problem comes in that we'll get a little more detailed in just a minute. These lectins are also called an antinutrient. Antinutrient, what is that? Because it has a propensity to bind to carbohydrates and clot with red blood cells. It also blocks, it just stands as a block for a lot of very important micronutrients that it then our bodies cannot absorb those. And so getting the lectins out of the beans that we eat, or at least reducing them or deactivating them, is pretty important so that the anti-nutrient aspect of those lectins can be completely destroyed. Most of the time, those lectins, the hemagglutinins, are not a problem for us. They are found in the plant community. The greatest amount of these lectins or these hemagglutinins are found in legumes, beans, peas, lentils. And in that particular family, among the legumes, the standout there is kidney beans, because most legumes have, and they're measured in particular units, most legumes have between 200 and 400 units of that hemagglutinin or the lectin. Now, what about kidney beans? Red kidney beans have between 20,000 and 70,000 units of that hemagglutinin. In fact, it is a specialized hemagglutinin called phytohemagglutinin. Woo! There's our other science word for the day. And that's where the problem is. Now, with cannellini beans only have about 1/3 of the units that red kidney beans do, but it's still a lot more than just normal pinto beans or black beans or lentils. And so we need to be sure that we deal appropriately with kidney beans, because it is that high dosage, that high amount of those phytohemagglutinin that can cause great distress within our gut. Now, it's not going to kill us, and it is, we're lucky because most of the legumes we cook before we eat, and that completely does away with those lectins. It breaks those bonds and makes them so that they are not toxic to us. But even as few as 3 or 4 raw beans can be very damaging to our gut. And so what is it that happens to us? So let me just read this to you. This is from the Harvard School of Public Health. You know, I talk a lot about my trusted sources and where I go to get my information. Well, the Harvard School of Public Health is certainly one. So here's what they say: when consumed, lectins in their active state, and that's the important thing because we need to deactivate them, and I'm going to show you how to do that, can cause negative side effects. The most publicized accounts report severe reaction in people eating even small amounts of raw or undercooked kidney beans. They contain phytohemagglutinin, a type of lectin that can cause red blood cells to clump together. It also produces nausea, vomiting, upset stomach, and diarrhea, bloating, gas, severe abdominal pain. And so what do we need to do? Because goodness knows in the store we can go and buy kidney beans. We can home can cannellini beans and kidney beans. So what do we need to do to make kidney beans so that we deactivate that lectin? Well, it is simple. It is very simple. And here is the solution to making them non-toxic for our families. Now, I have chosen to do cannellini beans today because I'm getting some cannellini beans ready for one of the recipes in the new book that I'm working on, nutrient-dense meals. It is a soup, and it calls for 4 cups of cannellini beans. And so I'm going to do this process. This process is the same regardless of whether it is cannellini beans or the red kidney beans. In either case, this is what we do. So I set out 2 cups of cannellini beans last night, and these have soaked overnight. Now, lectin is water soluble, it washes out. And so we get asked quite often, why, now I'm going to drain these beans because they have soaked now overnight, well over 12 hours. It only takes 5 or 6 hours to do the amount of soaking that you need, but I just didn't get to it until just now when we started our video. And I will drain this water. So we've had a lot of people say, why drain the water? Why not just cook the beans in the water? Well, it looks pure and clear, but there are lectins in this water that have leached out of the beans. And that is precisely why we never, ever want to use the soaking water for beans to cook the beans in. So I have my little strainer here. I'm just going to dump the beans right here. Let that water go down the drain, rinse, and that's all there is to it. Now, are they ready and safe to eat now? No. If we were to eat just a handful of these soaked beans, these are still raw. And so there would be still way too much of the lectins in here. So I'm just going to add them to my pot. Add just enough water to just cover the beans. And I am now going to start the cooking process. I'm going to boil these beans for 30 minutes. And then at that time, we will come back and I'll tell you what is next. These have boiled for 30 minutes. Let's take a look. So here they are. Now, what comes next? Well, get some up here. We can check these. Oh gosh, they're not done at all. Does that matter? No, it doesn't. They're not done. In terms of eating and softness, they're not done. They are done with what we need to do with them before we finish doing whatever we're going to do with them by a recipe. because now after this 30-minute boil, the lectin is all deactivated and everything is fine. And actually what we have done right here, up to this point also, is the first step in canning, in pressure canning beans. We soak them overnight, we dispose of the soaking water, we cook them for 30 minutes, and then they can go into the jars hot. That's what I did with these cannellini beans. That is what I did with these kidney beans. And then they can be pressure canned. These are safe to eat. Anything that you get at the grocery store out of a can has already been processed to this point. These are safe to eat. The only ones that are not safe to eat are the ones that are raw or undercooked. So the boiling step you never want to do in a slow cooker. A slow cooker doesn't get up to the maintained boiling point that is necessary to deactivate that those lectins that are in there. And so be sure that you do this. You can pressure cook them in your Instant Pot, or you can boil them on the stove. Now, what is next for this particular batch is, these are only partially cooked. They're now safe, but they're not nearly as soft as I want for my soup. So these are going back on the stove. I'm going to finish cooking them until they are done, nice and soft. And the thing about kidney beans is that they are so creamy on the inside. That's why they're such a great choice for things like chilies and soups. So the red kidney beans and the cannellini beans, both kidney type beans, are really nice and creamy on the inside. But these are now safe, and so you can do with them what you wish. If you want to now slow cook them in a recipe that requires kidney beans to be slow cooked, you can do it at this point, since they've already been boiled for 30 minutes. So from here on out, it's the cook's choice of what to do with these beans, and we're good to go. So thank you for joining us. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you can apply the information going forward and share it with everybody that you may want to as well. So thank you for being part of our community. We really appreciate you. We love your comments. Let us know what you think about this, and we will see you very soon at a new video.